Welcome back. You may have some questions regarding escrow, and who knew that you can actually pick your own escrow company and not rely strictly on the real estate agent. I have Bernadette Kirkus, who's here with Escrow Options, to tell us how that works. Well, welcome. I got your name right?
Yes.
Oh,
you
good,
did. Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, super interesting because as we were talking earlier, it's interesting to me to know that you actually can pick your own escrow company when buying or selling a home. So tell me how that actually works.
Right. So it actually is already in the purchase contract where it states, choice of escrow services.
Okay.
A lot of the times the realtor does navigate that because you're going to trust in the professional to help you pick out the third parties you're working with.
Right.
But we also want to make sure that the consumer is educated enough to understand that they do have a choice and a say. And there's specific questions they can be asking their realtor just to ensure that the third parties that are being used are vetted, going to be protecting their assets, because with escrow is, they're holding the majority of the funds.
Right.
So you want to make sure that your assets are protected at the highest level.
So has there been instances in the past where
Yes.
monies have gone, or how,
Yes.
what kind of problems
Absolutely.
are there?
So last year alone, it was reported that almost $30 million in just Orange County went missing, having to do with wire fraud and cyber theft.
Oh my.
Yes, so that's why a lot of escrow companies are kind of starting to see the light, and they're trying to help prevent a lot of this, or at the very least reduce that risk.
Okay.
So what we're doing as an escrow company makes us a little bit different is that we've actually gone through a training course with the FBI on cyber fraud.
Okay.
So we've put those controls in place, those protocols in place to ensure that nothing like that happens.
Okay.
Luckily for us, we've been in business since 2005 without a single loss or wire fraud instance that has happened to us.
Okay, so when you say that you went through a whole FBI class, what did they point out to you that was really important?
Basically just how to look for, phishing scams, certain types of email issues, what you can do to protect your IT part of the organization as a whole.
Okay.
What to do in the event that you start noticing that fraud is going to begin to occur. So we've actually been able to stop different types of cyber threats that have been attempted in our company, where we've caught the person and been able to refer them to FBI and then gotten gotten them arrested. So.
Right. And what kind of, is it equipment or software that you have employed in your systems to be able to prevent that?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything from background checks on our employees to equipment, different softwares. We have an SSAE certification, which is the highest standard level of a certification in our industry that ensures that we have those controls in place. It has to be renewed every single year because technology is ever changing.
Right.
So we have that in place as well.
Okay. So if someone was going to sell their home or purchase the home and they went to a real estate agent, what are some of the things that they should be asking the real estate agent about the escrow companies that they choose?
Well, the very first question they should ask is, how protected is the escrow company? What kind of protocols do they have in place to ensure that my money and my assets aren't going anywhere?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just the funds, but it's also their personal information. We hold a lot of that, including social security numbers, driver's license numbers, property addresses, all of that. So if you're not going to be at risk for losing your funds, you could be at risk for identity theft. Mm-hmm. So it's protecting that as a whole, especially now with technology being as vastly used as it is, especially in real estate, and that's not going anywhere. So it's best to educate yourself and make sure that the people you're working with have also been educated on that and know what to look for so they can protect themselves as well.
Right. So what if the real estate agent doesn't use you at this time, but somebody would like to use you? Is it something that a buyer or seller is able to request?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mostly will be with the seller. So they can, talk to their real estate agent. Their real estate agent says, well, I'm using this company and here's what they have in place. And the seller thinks, I'd rather work with Escrow Options Group because I know that they have, the A, B, and C together. I know that they've never suffered a loss or had a wire fraud occur in their organization.
Right. Let's
look into that option. Usually it's a conversation between them and their realtor. It's a great way to think about it as if, your real estate agent is your primary physician and you need to go see a specialist.
Oh, okay.
You're going to rely on what your realtor is going to suggest, but you can still have that conversation with them and still ask those questions, because at the end of the day, it's your health you're asking about.
Okay.
It's the same thing in real estate. At the end of the day, it's your assets that you're asking about.
Right. Now, you mentioned that you have background checks on your employees.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say that has been one of the most common problems in some escrow companies, is that it's an inside situation?
It's not, but we just do it as an extra layer of protection because it has happened, but it's very rare and very small, but it's still there. So as long as it's there, we just want that extra layer of protection.
Okay. Now, as you can see, many of the companies, have been hit hard with some cybersecurity. So it's good to know that you guys are protecting their assets that way.
Yeah,
what are some other things that a seller should consider with an escrow company?
Well, it's really nice to meet the escrow people as well. So once you're talking to your realtor and you've opened up that conversation and, for example, they say, okay, let's check out Escrow Options Group. It'd be great to have them, come in, meet your escrow officer. We have tons of information, booklets on this kind of stuff. We have a home seller's guide, a home buyer's guide as well that walks them through from the beginning of the transaction to post-closing, so they actually know what to expect.
Right.
You really want to trust the escrow company that you're working with, which is what we try and instill in not only the realtors as our clients, but the consumer as well.
Okay. Okay. All right, good. And if anybody had any questions, what's the best place for them to go to? Would it be your website?
They could be our website, absolutely. Okay. They can also contact our Irvine office. We have 2 Laguna Woods specialists that are in there.
Oh, okay.
So they handle nothing but Laguna Woods transactions, and they've been doing it for years.
Okay.
So just they're not Irvine office. They're more than welcome to just either walk in or give them a call or go on our website and send them a request in there.
Okay. And then at what point should the seller be thinking about this? Is it after they've already hired or put their house on the market, or should they do it beforehand?
I would suggest doing it once you hire your real estate agent because you're probably already going to be putting your home on the market, but you want to make sure that as soon as that offer gets accepted that you understand who those companies are that are going to be involved in your transaction.
Okay.
Because your realtor is driving that car, but who are those passengers? So you want to make sure that you know everybody that's involved and everyone that's touching your information and touching your money and that kind of thing.
Well, I certainly don't think I've thought about this at all, so I appreciate the information. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
And remember, if you wanted additional information, you could go to escrowoptions.com. And don't forget, you can actually ask for an escrow agent. We'll be right back after this.